Welcome to the Rest Movement, where we release every single thing. I thought healing would come after the apology, after they said they were sorry for what they had done. But what happens when the apology never comes? What happens when the conversation never happens? What happens? What happens? And you're stuck to their silence. And you're stuck and just can't get past it and can't heal. Well, today we're going to talk about, what do you do when the apology never happens? How do you heal when you don't get the closure that you need? So hang in there with me. Let's get into it. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Now let's get into it. Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of the Rest Movement Podcast. And you know what we do here? We help you release every single thing. I am Renee Young Blake, the Nugget Dropper. I am the host, and over here to my right, look who's. Let's see if she remembers herself.
I am Sonja D, and I'm delighted to be here.
She's talking a little bit like she'd been to Milan and, been to Italy and showing off. Like, she called me a hater. I told her maybe I was a little bit hating on her.
It's okay.
Because she's glowing. Like, what happened over there in Milan? Maybe you didn't tell me some stuff. What happens in Milan stays in Milan.
Yes.
Well, what did you do?
Well, I did a lot of walking. I got in all my steps every single day. And I ate amazing, fresh, naturally organic food.
She has the taste buds of the elite. Some of the stuff she eats, I will never try. I'm such a SpongeBob SquarePants. I'm not sponging anything though, because it's like, oh, you're so boring. She tells me that all the time because I don't eat very much. You can't tell. These hips were talking. They're not talking about the food, the kind of stuff that she likes to eat.
Yeah, it was a nice.
Her and my husband get on my nerves because, they'll talk about like, what was that you told us to get when we were in New York?
The lox and
it's like, what is salmon and lox? Lox was hair. What are you talking about? And as soon as I said it to him, he's like, oh my God, yeah, that's good. Tell Sonja that's some good eating. I'm like, y'all get on my nerves. I had never even heard of this.
Salmon, lox and bagels.
I'm not eating that.
It's so delicious.
I just started eating raw vegetables, just a few years ago, man. I'm not eating no raw salmon. Okay,
it's smoked. It's not raw.
Raw smoked. It ain't been cooked. If it's smoked, is it cooked? It's smoked. I told you, exquisite. Burger King. I don't know. I can't even think of a ritzy place to eat. I don't eat Burger King like that. No shade to Burger King. I was just kind of saying, you remember the Chevy Chevette? So a Chevette versus a Jaguar. This is a Jaguar appetite, and I'm eating like a Chevy Chevette.
I'm working on it.
She's working on me. I'm getting there. I'm trying new things.
Yes, that's a great start.
Oh Lord, great start. But listen, last 2 weeks we've been talking about boundaries, and when I tell you last week's episode, guess what we didn't do? Same thing I didn't do with the co-host April. I forgot all about our Freedom Friday song, so we did it at the end. It was kind of cute, but I'm getting ready to forget again. It's Freedom Fridays. It's Freedom Fridays. It's Freedom Fridays. So come on in here and let's get free. So today we're talking about something that, just like the last topic that we were talking about, boundaries, and I think that's going to be a forever topic because we will always be stretched to ensure that we protect ourselves by having those. Mm-hmm. But today's topic, I think, is going to hit home with you. We're talking about when the apology doesn't come. Ooh. And how to heal when you don't get the closure of that apology. Because closure is a thing for most people when it comes to apologies or, closure. You want to know why something happened. And sometimes closure can be dangerous. Because if you get the closure you think you need by asking the person to say something, what they may say may not be closure. It may be another gut punch, maybe a gutting of you. Mm. So we have to really protect ourselves. So we want to talk about that because it's another way we get stuck. It's another root that stays deep down that we have to unearth. We have to uproot. We have to uncover, so that we can heal and get the freedom and the peace that we deserve and that God wants for us. There is an expectation of an apology. What we expect is an acknowledgement. We expect, hey, you made a mistake, or hey, you did something and you hurt me. Yeah. And I expect you to, one, know that you hurt me. I expect, two, for you to, once you know that you hurt me, to do something about the hurt you caused me. And sometimes you don't know that you hurt me, but if I tell you, you're still expecting something. But too often we think that people know how we feel through osmosis. Like, if I don't tell you, and I can know you really well, but we don't take into account that offenses happen for many reasons. It may not even be an offensive thing. It may just be where I am today when it happened. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe I'm having so many other things happen to me, and you just kind of push me over the edge with what you did. On another day, they may not have even bothered me. Mm. And so we get stuck in needing that acknowledgement. We need them to be accountable, or we need that validation. And
that's kind of a twofold situation, because in that scenario, it's not necessarily an ending of a relationship. It's a offense or a confrontation or a conversation. And so I don't know I guess you could still get closure on it, but that would be more of you needing to talk to the person and say, hey, that offended me, or what did you mean by that? Versus, in my head, when I think of closure in a relationship, I'm thinking that the relationship has come to an end, an abrupt end, or some kind of end that you are left emotionally stuck because you didn't get the closure you want. And so you have to think of it differently.
It could be closure in that way, or it could just be, you did something to me. Let me share the kind of person that I have been over the years when people have hurt me. A lot of times people don't even know. But I'm still, every time I'm in their presence, it's a reminder, but I'm still never going to let them know they hurt me. I'm still going to smile, still going to kiki, going to hug, going to be present, but you never apologize. So in the back of my head, I haven't forgiven you because I haven't forget what you did. And I'm living in inner turmoil because I didn't get to close the loop of that offense by, one, telling you hurt me, and you taking responsibility for what you did. You don't even gone on with your life in the situation. We still relate, but I didn't get the closure I need for you to know that you hurt me, know what you did, and you take responsibility for that. So I understand exactly. Most people talk about closure in that way, but I see closure in both ways because I still didn't get to close the loop of my pain.
So that can be unfair to the person who offended you.
Absolutely.
But it's also can be,
I was being fair.
It can also be hurtful to you. But I guess as we grow older, it doesn't make it any easier to share our hurt, but we understand that we don't want to hold on to it either.
Mm.
So you may say, hey, Sonja, what did you mean by that? This is what I heard. And then either I'll say, well, yeah, that's what I meant. Well, why did, or I'll say, well, I didn't mean it that way. And then, which either way we can hash it out and hopefully come to a happy ending about it, right?
But I think that's also related to how close you are to that person. We had that kind of relationship that we could say that and do that. But I'll share with you that I've had some recent things and I'm like, okay, God, did I need to experience these so that you can bring this topic to full circle, for the pod? Like, really, after my book signing, it started actually the week before my book signing with somebody saying something to me that the old me would have been very offended by it, would have been angry, and would have been in a funk about it. Because I've had this happen with this person before, I was like, whatever, and I let it go. I let it go from the level from different than the past.
Okay.
I still was bothered by what they said, and I'm still going to address what they said. I just haven't had a chance yet to do it, but it didn't shut me down like it used to shut me down.
Okay.
However, a week later, somebody else said something to me or responded to something that I said nice to them. And it was a cold response. It was a text message. And what God had to show me is something that I've been praying for and I've been talking to God for, because I give so many people the benefit of the doubt. I don't go in kind of, looking really hard to see your character and to see if this is somebody I should engage with. And that's something I've been praying and asking God for, to show me quickly. Don't allow me to develop relationship, friendship. Don't allow me to engage beyond being cordial. Or if there's a mission that I have in that moment, let me meet the mission, let me meet the assignment, but don't let me partner with or become. There's a reason why God has made my circle small. Mm-hmm. And I am one that always is extending an olive branch, or I'm extending an opportunity to come in close. And I have to do better at vetting and do better at not allowing people to be too close, because close is special. Close is where you share things. Close is where you have somebody to correct you and, kind of snap you up if you out of order. And you can't trust everybody to come in that close. And I was giving somebody space to come closer. Mm-hmm. And they're not somebody who can handle this relationship. And their response was inappropriate. When I later found out why they responded, the reason why they responded the way they responded to me was inappropriate and out of line. But I was mad. I was super mad. And it's the first time in a very long time that I internalized something to the point where my body started being affected. And I had a massive inflammatory response. And then I got in another disagreement with somebody else. It was like the enemy was coming full on. Mm-hmm. And it's all happened after my book signing. Mm-hmm. Whenever God does something wonderful. Mm-hmm. And I already know that. I already know to prepare myself. Yeah. But I was so in a high at the day. And, it was such a beautiful event. And it's like pow. Yeah. So I had to put my phone on do not disturb, because I was really in a funk. My right knee, I couldn't even bend it. It was weird. All the bones in my hand were hurting. I had a headache from Sunday to Sunday. It was massive. Oh, wow. And it was all because that person still needs to apologize to me. But is it even worth me seeking an apology? God had to really pull me in to repent. Okay. Because I had become really angry and I was ready. The Sister Popoff was on her way back. But it taught me something again. You asking God to show you things. Mm-hmm. He showed you and you got mad because he showed you what you've been asking. Mm-hmm. Show me so that I don't invest too much time. I don't invest in something. It's like one of the chapters in my book is stop pouring into pots with holes. People who have no intention of being healed, they have no intention of being using what you give them to help them. They have no intention. So stop pouring because you're wasting oxygen and energy, and somebody will be a pot that is completely closed in and ready for you to pour in and for them to allow what's in that pot to help them. Some people just gonna allow what you give to pour out, and you see there's no change.
Yeah.
They call you about the same stuff, they do the same thing, you tell them the same stuff, and what do they 5 years later, we're still in the same relationship. So that's why I said my circle is small and I have to really protect it.
Yeah.
So, I wanted the acknowledgement from them. I wanted them to be accountable for their behavior. And I didn't necessarily need the validation because I know there was nothing that I did.
Do they know they did something?
Do they? Oh, they know, because I talked to, I don't want to say too much detail. I'll talk to you a little offline.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say much, but I found out why they were upset with me and they had no right.
Gotcha.
When I looked at the scum, like, are you kidding me?
Right.
Like you.
That's crazy. Yeah. So yeah, I see what you're saying.
So you have, you extend yourself, and because I love everybody, and you know me, I want even my enemies to win. I've never had.
I'm not that mature. Go ahead.
I've never had anybody that I want, like, God, you get them. I will pray for that enemy, because if you are prosperous, you'll leave me alone. Because you'll have your own stuff. You won't have any reason to be an enemy to me, because I'm not an enemy to you.
Right.
You've just decided there's something about me. And so I get stuck. I get stuck in relationship. I get stuck with apologies if you're very close to me and you hurt me and won't acknowledge the hurt. And you know that I'm vocal in the hurt when you're close to me. Mm-hmm. But if you don't, even if you don't see it, the fact that I'm hurt, explore. So I can explore, because maybe the reason why I'm offended is on me and you really didn't do anything. Mm-hmm. It's just a way, we're not just waiting for I'm sorry. We're waiting to feel seen. And that's, to me, what it feels like when you can see that I'm hurt and you take no acknowledgement of that.
That happens all the time. That's probably a lot of the demise of many relationships, because the acknowledgement never comes. And so you have to ask yourself, how do you move on past that? Because you may never get the acknowledgement that someone hurt you and left you emotionally, I want to say abused, but it doesn't. You have to, there's like, because we can stay stuck in that, and it's hard to move on to and move forward, and it kind of seeps into your other relationships.
So why do you think we hold on so tightly to the need for an apology?
Because we feel like it would validate our feelings, and because we want to know that person cared more than they're acting like they cared. Mm-hmm. Because you cared more about that person, and you felt the relationship meant something to you, so you thought it also meant something to them. And if I knowingly hurt you and never apologize or acknowledge the hurt, then that says that you never really cared about me anyway. What was your motive for this friendship or this relationship? Were you a user, or you're just a cold-hearted person? Or I didn't, like you said, sometimes it's not always even in vetting, because people will show you their better side in the beginning, right? Mm-hmm. And until you actually get into the weeds with them, you may never know how they react to conflict, right? Mm-hmm. And then you find out, well, are they ever going to say anything? Things have changed. I feel the difference. I see the difference. I know there's a difference, but they're not acknowledging it. And you have to say,
or they lying and say, "No, I'm good. Ain't nothing wrong."
Yeah.
And you know that there's something wrong.
Yeah,
like, did I do something to you?
Right.
Like, what happened? You know, I
Exactly.
haven't heard from you. You don't call. You know, if I call, you don't respond. Like, oh no, we're good. Okay.
Sometimes the hardest goodbyes are the ones that never come, that never happen.
Whoa. That's that apology.
Yeah.
You know, you leave the scene and you don't say anything.
Nothing. No
And
acknowledgement.
that leads to that feeling of abandonment too.
Yeah.
You know, it can spiral in depending upon the relationship, depending upon how much you related to them will depend on how you heal from that.
Yeah.
You know, your experience and even getting over things. And if this is a repeat, because you know, there are times when we keep attracting the same kind of people.
A lot of that.
And
happens.
so the same kind of things keep happening because the same kind of people. And at some point, you have to identify the pattern. You see that there's a pattern. Why am I still dating the same kind of person? Why do I attract the same kind of girlfriends?
That's where God has to come in and do some.
But you have to see it. If you don't start looking, you won't even know to ask God to help me. You know, what is it in me that's attracting this kind of person? It's the spirit.
Yeah, it's true, because they may look completely different on the outside,
but their behavior,
but they have some of the same tendencies and characteristics that bring you to that place of, I did it again. How did I pick this joker? Or what is it about me that attracts, you know? And it may not be anything bad about you, or it may be something that, a weakness that they see that you haven't picked up on, right? And that's when I say you got to talk to God and say, okay, I'm doing this wrong, all wrong.
all wrong.
Yeah. And so sometimes explanation never arrives and we are left holding the silence.
Absolutely. So you're not waiting for words, you're waiting for validation. An apology feels like closure, but it's not the only path to your healing. Why the apology may never come, they may not see it. We have to come to terms with that, because what we see may not be what somebody else sees.
Right.
You know, how people express themselves may not be how you express yourself. And it's real important. And I have learned to say over the years, you know what you just said? Yeah, I know what I just said. Let me say what you just said. Let me tell you what I think you just said. And you tell me if that's what you were trying to say. No, I wasn't trying to say. What are you talking about? No, what I was saying. Well, why didn't you say that? Because what you said was very offensive. It sounded offensive when I said it to you, right? Yeah, that don't sound right. Because we often don't take the time
to ask,
to make sure, one, that we are slow to speak so that we don't say things off the cuff. Be aware of the person who we are talking to. Because sometimes the things you say hit them different because of what they've experienced in life.
Right.
Like if I know that, you know, you've been through this particular thing, I'm not going to say something that's going to trigger that. But we're not thoughtful communicators often. We do things based upon how we feel. We're not considering the recipient of what we say.
Yeah. And that's not everybody does that. But like you said, in talking about our own personal situations, if we have that type of person. So do you decide to have a conversation with them to identify that so that they can work on that? Not just for your sake, but for the sake of their character? Do you say, hey, you know, I want to share something with you. Like, you come off kind of rough. And I'm not sure if this just because of me and it's only how you and I communicate, or if this is how you are across the board. And then you have those people who will take it and try to do better. And then you have those people who are like, this is who I am. And either you accept it or you don't. And then you can say, well, I don't. And I wish you all the best.
See you later. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes that comes from somebody that you don't have a close relationship with, but that you're building a relationship with. And with you building your brand and building your business, you're going to come across a lot of people with a lot of different personalities, and they're going to have their own set of goals for you along with the set of goals that you may have shared with them, and the way that they communicate may not work for you.
And I have learned, really, because and I think that's exactly why I'm in a space that's unfamiliar. I'm in a space where I'm learning, is because I am not as picky about those who are teaching me. Because I can see things in them when they're teaching that in relationship, we'd never be in a relationship. But they have what I need. So my feelings, that flesh, you better get thee behind me.
Right.
Because we got work to do. Yeah. I'm building something. So my emotions and how I feel about how they communicate, they giving me what, if you got to bring it to me brutal, bring it to me brutal. My feelings are not going to be hurt because you're helping me grow. Yeah. You're helping me get to know some things that I wouldn't have known for myself. That's why you are a coach. That's why you're coaching me through something, in exactly the same way why we coach, to help people get through what we know how to get through or what we're getting through. Because sometimes we present things that we haven't mastered ourselves, but it's worth the conversation.
Exactly.
Or we've mastered it most of the time, but every now and then, like I have really done well with the spirit of offense. But when I got hit, it caught me off guard, and it was hard for me to recover. And I knew that the best way to do it was really to just shut down, because if I didn't, I would keep repeating the story. And the more I repeated the story, the more it grew.
And the more it hurt.
And the more it hurt.
And the more you wanted the acknowledgement.
And the more madder I got. And I wanted to address. And I'm like, you can't address everything with them. You have to address everything with you.
Right.
Sometimes you address with them, but you always got to address you. Like, let me sit in this. Why do I need the apology? And what would that apology do? Why am I so emotional about it? Is it the person who did it? Or is it what they did that's most affecting me? Or is it both? Because if it's somebody close, I don't expect them to hurt me like they hurt me. And I don't expect them not to acknowledge the hurt or the issue and not want to try to fix it.
So you had a choice to make. Do I stay imprisoned, or do I release myself so that I can start the healing?
Oh my gosh, you know what it felt like? It felt like the story of Paul when I think it was Paul and Silas were praying in the jail, and God caused the earthquake, and the jail cell opened up, and they were like telling, I think it was a centurion that was guarding, and he's like, don't kill yourself, because he knew that if all those prisoners escaped, he was going to get killed for not watching them. And he's like, all of us are still here. That's how it was feeling. Like God had opened the door to free me from the prison, but I kept myself in the prison because I was getting madder day by day. And that's why I couldn't get rid of the headache. That's why my body was, you would think, as afflicted as my body had become, in just a matter of a few days, that I would have released it, or I would have even known that that's what was happening. But I was in such a brain fog that I couldn't even think and pray my way out of it. And so God slowly started helping me see, why are you holding? You have been asking me to show you things. And I allow the person to show you themselves so that you would not be counting on a relationship that is not a relationship for you to have. And so following week, I'm cool. I'm cool with it. Don't need no closure. Don't need no apology. Hopefully it's someday God will reveal things to you so you can be better for somebody else that you'll be in relationship with because it will have to be divine intervention for me to put myself back in that space of relating. And it doesn't mean that I haven't forgiven. It doesn't mean that I've forgotten. It's just I have asked God to show me because I don't want to enter in, especially with business and partnerships. I don't want to be in that place where I put myself in a position with somebody and it was not what God intended, because I have this heart of wanting to help everybody. I have this heart of wanting to, see everybody win. And so I put myself out there and get myself in a bad state because I'm not being watchful. Word says watch as well as pray. I won't do neither one of them. I was just being me. So again, the apology may not come. They don't see it. They might not even have the capacity. And I don't think this person has the capacity.
Well, there you go.
So I wasn't seeing that. I was more in my flesh offended and ready to fight than consider them. Consider what you know. Consider what you were trying to be, that maybe they're not capable of receiving what you have. And it's okay.
Yes.
It's okay. You'll live and so will they, or they're the kind of person you will see who avoids accountability. Some people are like a borderline narcissistic. They're never wrong. They've never done anything. And they will always find a way to blame you and not take responsibility or be accountable for what they've done. Some people can't give what they don't have.
And disclosure is not permission from another person for you to move forward. And we often wait for, I'm sorry, I was wrong, you deserve better. And then what we also have to realize is healing cannot always depend on another person's willingness to acknowledge that they've hurt you. And so acceptance is not agreement, right? So even if you accept the situation that happened, it doesn't mean you agree with it. It's just that you have decided to do the self-healing so that you won't stay stuck. And so that those things that attacked your body will be released so you can keep doing what God has called you to do.
Yeah, because healing is never their responsibility. Your healing is your responsibility.
Right.
Nothing that is going on is in you. Is never the issue is you.
Yeah.
So you have to deal with the issue and not ever expect somebody else to give you what you need. The only two people that can give you what you need is you and God.
Yeah.
Nobody can ever give you that other half of satisfaction, that other that validation, all of those things, because we are all flawed people. And if I'm dealing with my own stuff, how am I going to be able to give you what you need if I'm barely making great decisions to get what I need for me.
And again, on this subject matter, I'm looking at it from a place of a broken relationship or ending to a relationship, more so with where there was maybe romance and love for the opposite, when I was in that type of relationship. And that closure is super, not that I guess I can't measure it because everybody feels what they feel in their situation. But it has always been really hard for me not to. Okay, so I guess the word a lot of people use now is people will ghost you. And I think that's so cruel, especially if we've been in what I thought was a loving relationship and we built something and now you just disappeared and the whole pattern has changed and you haven't told me. You just showed me. So now you leave me at a loss. And I have to, in that space, decide that this is your decision. And it could be you're going through something right now, but because you're not sharing, I'm taking it as this is the end.
When we don't communicate, you cause the other person to create their whole story, create their own story.
It's so true.
I mean, they will write a whole entire book. The reason why I think both are important, the end of a relationship or what appears to be the end of a relationship and a current relationship, and not having closure about a conversation or closure about an event, is we will create our own stories in our head because we won't confront, we won't address, we won't communicate.
Right.
They did this to me and I know they did it because, but you never asked the question. Do you know that they think that way? I mean, like, you think they woke up in the morning and decided to make your whole day miserable? How do you know what kind of day they were having? How do you know that what you said didn't trigger something? And that's why you have to communicate. And just walking away, to me, when you walk away from a relationship or a friendship or whatever ship you in, to me, it's cowardly not to say something.
No, I totally agree.
It's cowardly. Just say what you got to say. You have a right to change your mind. Just like I have a right to change my mind. Maybe I wake up today and say, I thought this relationship was working for me, but I'm starting not to feel good about it. And so, maybe we need to take a break, or I've made the decision that I'm going to move on and be done with it.
Yeah.
We're not talking about a marriage.
Right.
We're talking about friendships and relationships. And, even in a marriage, when there is an argument of some sort that creates silence in the home, now we're not talking to each other. We don't have any communication because I'm waiting on an apology and you're not giving one.
You really have to have a really strong bond with the Lord, because I have seen and heard of marriages ending when the person just wake up and say, I don't want to be married anymore. That has to be devastating.
Oh my gosh.
And you're thinking you're spending the rest of your life with this person and you don't even know that you're laying by somebody who's contemplating when they're going to tell you that they're not going to be here tomorrow or whenever, right? And so you're not just grieving the person, you're grieving what the future looked like. You're grieving the fact that you had a routine. It's a lot to grieve.
And you're grieving, you still don't know why.
Right.
Because sometimes they tell you, sometimes they don't. And even when they tell you, what they tell you don't make sense to you because of what led up to that. Nothing led up to that. I didn't see any of this. You were still being the loving husband. You were still being all of the things. And then you wake up tomorrow and say, you know what? I'm out.
Right. So you're grieving the person that you loved.
Then you start questioning, was it ever real? Did you ever love me? What was this?
Right.
And it sends you into the spiral and we just got to get to a place where we just really relinquish our will to God, give our heart to God and say, can you keep it for safekeeping until I'm able to hold on to it myself? I present my heart to you. And God, can you just take care of it? Because the way I'm feeling and the way I am stewarding my heart I'm not in a good place to take care of it. And the way I'm taking care of it is going to cause an effect on my whole entire body. I mean, the heart is the core. The brain and the heart are the core of us. And if the heart is out of whack, both spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and it's going to start being affected physically. Our bodies are affected by our brain and how our heart is like that. It's that memory. That memory is in all three places, our brain, our heart, and our GI tract.
We have to be careful because forgiveness is not the same as reconciliation. And forgiveness always comes up in relationships because we're not perfect people. And so these are the times where you really have to know that based on their decision, because a lot of times what we do is based on their decision, is we look at ourselves and we say, I failed, or I wasn't good enough, or why don't I ever get chosen?
Why does everybody always leave?
Yeah. And we beat ourselves up to the point that we take that spirit on to the next relationship. And that is how we attract the same people, because they see something weak or they see something vulnerable that they can that they can get into. Us not knowing that that's the wolf, right? But we thinking, another kind of wolf. Wow. And here we are going back around the mulberry bush.
Wow.
It's very hard.
So on the flip side of that, why do you think people have difficulty apologizing when they're wrong?
Because of pride. Pride. What does the word say about pride?
If you can think back to your childhood And the first thing that a child, when they're able to have a small semblance of communication, is they know how to lie. And nobody taught them that. Who knocked that over? I don't know. I don't know who did it. He did it. No, I didn't. You did it.
But does that come from fear, from seeing something happen?
No, the smallest of baby. When a baby starts learning how to walk and talk, ask the think of your grandchildren. I don't care. They know BB ain't gonna do nothing to them, but they not gonna tell the truth when they did something. It's like the word says we're born in sin, shaped in iniquity. So we're born in sin nature. And the biggest lie that is ever told is the lie that the enemy causes us to start right from the very beginning. We don't want to be accountable. We don't want to, apology. Think about when you have to tell a child to say they're sorry. Tell Bobby you sorry for hitting him. You almost got to beat their tail to make them apologize. It's in us from the very beginning because the enemy knows that reconciliation can happen, healing can happen. All of the wonderful things that God intended for us in the first place can happen just from someone saying, I'm sorry. And you don't even have to be an elaborate apology because apologizing is what you do. What you should be saying is, I'm sorry. I apologize. When somebody say I apologize, I don't know. You got to say, you apologize for what? If you say I apologize, now you got to tell me for what. If you say I'm sorry, then I know that that's something from your heart and your gut, that I really am sorry that I offended you. I'm sorry that I hurt you. I'm sorry that, how I spoke to you. I'm sorry that I ignored you. I'm sorry that I didn't call you back. I don't want you to hear the word apologize because to me, that's what you do.
That confuses me because if I apologize to you, because I say both, I'm also going to follow it with what I did. I'm not just going to say, I apologize. Like even in business, I'll say my apologies. I was in a meeting, so I had to join your meeting late, And when I say I'm sorry,
I would accept that.
I'm sorry that
but some people I apologize, roll off their tongue so easy. There's no thought to it whatsoever because I apologize is very easy to say. It is not easy to say I'm sorry.
I never thought about that.
It's not easy to say I'm sorry. When you just watch children, you try to make them say they're sorry. Listen, they gonna go down with your ship before they apologize to their brother or their sister for something they know. You watch them do it. Their sister's crying. You don't care. Say you're sorry. So if you don't say you're sorry, you go into your room. Well, I guess I'm going to my room because I'm not saying I'm sorry. And so we take that same flavor, same character, same way into our adulthood, and we don't see the other people. We don't see the other person. And pride sets in, I'm going to be right. Nobody's going to tell me I'm wrong. And we keep doing the same thing. Yeah. How do we process the reality that we may never get the acknowledgement we want, that the person may never get the acknowledgement? You have to have that peace within, understanding that forgive yourself for holding on to it. Yeah. Forgive yourself for allowing it to affect you the way you did. Forgive yourself for wasting the time that you already wasted on it, because they may never give you what you need or what you think you need, because really all we ever needed was God to give us peace.
And so I think the majority of us hold on to the old things. We don't let them go because the pain may have been too deep, or we just still never got that closure. It validates us, right? Because you hurt me and you did this, that, and the other. But
we get to be right.
Yeah, and that's dangerous because...
Which is also pride.
Yeah, and you get stuck. Who wants to stay stuck?
The truth is, going back to one of the things that I said was sometimes we're asking of people things that they just don't have the capacity or the capability. They're not equipped. You have to consider people's upbringing. You have to consider their environment.
So many considerations.
You have to consider how they've been taught. In their family, nobody takes responsibility. It's like that. You remember Lean on Me, and remember when Joe Clark goes to his boss, and his boss says to him, and contrary to popular belief, I'm the HNIC. Come on, let's go get something to eat. And so even though they had this issue and this rift,
back and forth.
let's go get some lunch. And many of us will have this rift and won't even go as far as to say what he said by saying, Negro, you piss me off now. I'm the one that's really in charge, but let's go get something to eat. Many of us won't even do that part. We'll just skip over it. You know, you hurt my feelings, and hey, what you doing tomorrow? But you haven't addressed anything. So you just covered it over. And after a while, you'll have piles and piles and piles of stuff you've covered over. And then there's stink in the room because you got piles of laundry, piles of stink that you haven't cleared out. And at some point, that stench is going to affect the relationship. And so it's much easier. Either you're just going to move on and forgive, but don't move on just because you don't want to confront. Move on because you're getting past it. You're giving that person some grace. I'm going to extend some grace. Is it as serious as I've made it? You know, is it as bad as I have internalized it to be? Is it worth this relationship failure? Is me knowing why they walked away? Is that really important? Is that going to change something? Do I feel like I was showing up as my best self in this relationship?
Right.
So why am I all of a sudden making it about me that I did something to make them leave? How about it was their character? How about that's who they are and they finally showed me something that I never would have seen if they hadn't did it that way? God has been telling me to leave, but I wouldn't leave.
And yourself. You may have already seen the signs before God even had to show you. But somewhere, something in you said you could tolerate it or it would change and you can fix it. And that doesn't happen. And it just makes it harder and harder. And you're growing attached to a person and their routine. So when it does come to that place where it's time to say goodbye and you don't get the goodbye closure you want, then you all hurt and broken up, but you were supposed to have been gone. You were supposed to have been gone. You put yourself in that predicament. You saw things that you allowed to continue.
And what is that doing? It's causing you emotional stagnation with roots growing and anchoring you to a place that you can't get unstuck.
Yeah.
And you watching everybody else's life go on around you and you still stuck in that place because you holding on. It's causing you to replay the hurt over and over and over again. It's costing you delayed healing. And none of us need to be delayed and paused in our healing, because when we are not in a healed place, we'll be the hurting person that hurts somebody else. Because we know hurting people hurt people, just like heal people heal people. And so we got to come out of that place. If we don't, we keep waiting on it, it's going to cost us delayed progress. Waiting keeps you tied to the moment instead of moving beyond it. And we are trying to get you to a place of moving beyond it. As my own testimony, when I could not move beyond it last week, it caused me a grave situation in my body that I could not shake because I couldn't get beyond it. I was not prepared for it. But as soon as I came to myself, as soon as the Holy Spirit began to deal with what I was experiencing, and the more I started verbalizing, and God started to show me that I needed to repent for holding on to it. I needed to repent for not extending grace to a situation, because it could have been me on the other side. It could have been me being misunderstood, or me being the one who's misunderstanding somebody else. And so we have to release people by extending grace. Well, I'm going to close out here. We'll come back and we'll start talking about redefining closure. So we'll leave at waiting, keeping you tied to the moment instead of moving beyond it.
And we ask him to, and then when he does it, we're like, what?
I'm telling you, when I ask him to reveal people to me and, stop allowing me to be so, I always give everybody the benefit of the doubt. It's like you got an A and you have to work backwards. I don't make people start at an E and move up to an A. I let everybody gets an A.
Yeah.
Until you start showing me you a B student, C student, D student, you just fail in that relationships.
I don't think how you do it is wrong. I think that there's an advantage to that too. Because people who, like my daughters are opposite in that way. I have one that embraces you immediately. I have one that sits back in the cut and watches and studies you and then determine whether or not they want to move forward. And both have been hurt. Both have been hurt from the way they, respond. And so I don't necessarily think that you having a loving heart and embracing people, because I tend to be that way too, because we know that a lot of people are hard or where they're dealing with, and we want them to know that this is a safe space, right? So I don't necessarily, I understand that you want to have a little bit more insight. But
because I'm never going to stop. I'm never going to stop because it's who I am, and I don't know how to be anybody different. It's who God created me to be. I'm going to always be open and willing to embrace and love upon any and everybody. That's just who I am. But I want to have discernment to know whether this is a moment to love upon this person or I have a season to love upon this person. Because I usually give everybody a season.
I understand.
And, seasons are not a day in a week or the moment that we're in. Season, lasts a little bit of time. It may just be a month. It may be 60 days. It may be a year, maybe 10 years, maybe a lifetime. But I instantly give people seasons.
Gotcha.
And that has to stop.
Yeah.
If what I'm supposed to be doing is pouring into you for this moment, and that's what God has allowed, or I meet you for you to pour into me for a moment, but you're not supposed to be pouring into me too long, because what you have to offer me right now is what I need. It doesn't mean you have everything that I need to continue to pour. Right. So that's what I asked God for. And guess I wasn't prepared for when he would show up so quickly.
That's how he is.
And answer the question.
He ain't on our schedule.
So.
Boy, do I know that.
We hope that this conversation has, if nothing else, if it didn't give you the answers, it gets you thinking. And maybe even asking God to give you the answer to your own situation. We have more to talk about, more to cover, more that we will talk about with this topic. But I want us, everything that I inspire to do is to get us unstuck, and get us to uncover, to uproot, unearth things so that we can be everything that God intended for us to be. And most of all, He wants us free. He wants us to have peace, and freedom equals peace. When you have freedom, peace just attaches itself just like grace and mercy. And so we are grateful. We hope that you have subscribed to the channel. If you have not, we want you to subscribe. We want you to share. We want you to like. We want you to comment. We want you to comment to talk about what we've talked about, or to talk about things you want us to talk about. If there's a way that any episode has helped you, share in the comments, because it's helpful for us. It's helpful for other people who are watching like you. And because healing is our hustle. That's what we want. We want healing for us all, because I believe when one woman gets healed, the whole world can change, because we are change agents. God uses us to birth many things, but He wants us to birth things through our healed self, not our hurt self. So we'll see you next time. Thank you for hanging out with us. Don't forget to get the book, He Told Me to Rest. It's life-changing. Get it on Amazon. Don't forget to follow me on anything Renee Young Blake on any of the socials. ReneeYoungBlake.com is the website. We'll see you next Friday for another Freedom Friday on the Rest Movement Podcast. See you later. Bye. Thank you for watching the Rest Movement Podcast. Remember, keep breathing, keep believing, keep becoming. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. See you next Friday.